Hi, everyone. This is Maria Feekes, Executive Director of ADONIS Fertility International. And today I'm very excited to have our next bi-weekly webinar. Sometimes we call it also Hot Seat Wednesday because, that's definitely is hot seat. No questions are off the table. And today with me is incredible professional and expert is Ivanna Lesyk. Hi, Ivanna.
Hi everyone.
Hi. Yes, so nice to see you. So Ivana is head of our third-party reproduction department. We also call the medical coordinations, you name it. But it's really the team that oversees pretty much the whole logistics of the surrogacy program and also surrogacy with egg donation. Okay. So and Ivana has been with us for over 10 years. Gosh, I cannot even remember. Definitely many years. Yes. So and so Ivana has led huge variety of cases, and so the logistics and the processes that she was able to put together with her team, they really reflect all of this vast variety of journeys. Okay, and so what I was hoping that we could get from her today is, when someone is thinking about surrogacy, okay, whether it's surrogacy, with your own biomaterial, with your own, eggs, sperm, or whether you need to have a donor, surrogacy, no matter what, is a still very involved process, okay? We have outlined, so Ivana suggested that there are 9 areas that you should be considering and keeping kind of in the back of your head when you're thinking about surrogacy. We're going to run through each area. We're going to outline them for them. And Ivana will kind of highlight for us what is some important things within each of this area. Okay. The goal is not to educate you fully on each of that 9 topics, because really each of it is so, vast that it could be a topic for its own webinar or couple webinars. But we want to highlight it for you. And whether you are intended parent, right, you're a family that, are looking for surrogate, or maybe you are surrogate, also called gestational carrier, right? Just make sure that you have, those topics, and understanding of those topics, and definitely speak with your agency, with your medical providers, and have the answers to your questions so and you're equipped with the information to make the best decisions for your family. Sounds good? Okay, without any further ado, so let's jump in. So Ivana, one of the big things that you have outlined that you said definitely families and gestational carriers need to be aware of when thinking about surrogacy is surrogacy screening, surrogate screening. Why is that important? And just tell us maybe like what are some risks and what are some areas that we're trying to avoid and screen against, right, with that screening. So
Yes, absolutely. I think that surrogacy screening, it is really important. It is the first milestone. Let's say it's the beginning of our big path. And why it is important? Because usually we have specific questions from our parents. Why is it so important? So first of all, we need to understand that surrogate mothers, they are passing tests not on one day. So it is a specific period of time when they go to one appointment, then another appointment, then on the basis of results, they return, they come back to clinic, and on the results that we get, we give next steps what to do with them. So it means that not every surrogate who wants to be a surrogate can be a surrogate. When we send profile to parents, we understand that this candidate have been approved few times, few levels of approval have been done to her, and only after that she is recommended and offered to our parents. And for example, we use over 2 cycles to look at her pelvic organs, to look at her smears, to look at her blood work. Then we have results, then we consult again with our medical team. It is not only fertility specialist, it is also general practitioner, it is also endocrinologist. So we provide not only fertility side examination. We provide also general examination, for example, abdomen, organs, kidneys, mammary, and thyroid glands. This is what we check. And actually, this is big difference between America, for example. So checking, providing screening for surrogates for gestational carrier in America and comparing to Ukraine, it is absolutely, I would be so brave to say, different worlds. So in Ukraine, we, dig very deep. And in America, it is usually check-in by fertility specialist. So that is why screening is very important milestone. Surrogate cannot be checked during few days. So when parents ask why it is so long, I'm waiting for like 3 weeks for surrogate. And we say that during this period, we have checked over 30, 50 candidates, but they are not perfect. So that is why we actually do not, let's say, give selection. It is mostly matched. Surrogate is mostly matched with parents by medical team, according to wishes, previously agreed wishes from parents. Like, for example, we want to have twins, so she will not have C-section. But it is not about, I want to have blue eyes, high woman, because when we have health for surrogate mother, this is the most important. And that is why screening is so much such a big milestone. So
Right.
it's really big concern. It is really a big thing to think about.
Okay, thank you so much. So, if parents then are looking, and I know, we're dealing with surrogacy in Ukraine and also surrogacy in USA screening. And so, what I think then is important is for each family and gestational carrier is really to understand within your area, right? For state or the country, what is that screening requirement? And if you have any questions, why some tests are on a list, absolutely do ask, and we would be happy to answer as well. But ultimately, we're responsible, for your well-being, right? Not just, for the health of the baby, but for the health and well-being of the surrogate as well, because the idea is that the whole process is worry-free, and at the end, here's a healthy, human being, right? And then as a surrogate, you could be moving on with your life, and the baby also is all well. Okay, so another thing you were mentioning about is creation of embryos, right? So one of the big questions that parents are having, they're saying, do I need to use donors, or can I use my own eggs or my own sperm? So what's happening? So what are some considerations, again, not without going deep into the topic, but from top of your head, like what some things, like if you would equip parents with like maybe a couple questions that are very important to think about, what would that be in that area?
So first of all, when we create embryos, it doesn't matter where we create these embryos, because we never have opportunity to influence on genetics. So if we are talking about own embryos, what is really important to understand, it is the quality of genetics that is used. If we are talking about, for example, aged parents, aged it is for women over 35 and for men over 40, we understand that since this age, we really recommend to have genetic testing on embryos to look if there is no spontaneous mutations in embryos. Of course, parents can skip this step, and we will have embryos just morphologically good, looking nice, but we never know what have lead us to failure if we have no genetic results. So when creating embryos, we pay attention on genetics of these embryos, because quality, if even embryo looks really perfect, it doesn't mean that embryo is strong genetically inside. So embryo can just block itself once it is transferred into the uterine cavity. So we do really pay attention on this. This is the first. And the second, it is the quality of genetics of a particular partner. So if we are talking about, for example, sperm and man is like over 50, 60, we really understand that we cannot wait for the same statistics if we are taking a sperm of 30 years old man, for example. So quality of embryos depends on quality of genes and genetics of a partner. And when we see that our parents have numerous unsuccessful attempts, it doesn't matter with us or in America, it is the fact. So, and we understand that it is aged parents, the best decision it could be using donor material. Um, under Ukrainian legislation, we can use and we can provide such programs only under medical indication, and numerous unsuccessful attempts or age can be such indications. And even when using embryos with donor oocytes or sperm, we still recommend to have genetic testing. It is not something obligatorily in some cases. In some cases, we really push this idea because it is really needed. For example, for VIP granted
Yeah, highly
programs,
recommended.
just a
Yep, yep.
requirement, yeah. Or if it is for women that age is over 40, for example. But it is not the rule, it is more exception. But why we recommend to have genetic testing, it is again to answer the question, if we have a failure, why? So we don't want to do same steps and have same result. If we don't want to have failure again, we should change something. So in order not to wish to have machine of time machine, and come back and just change something in the past, because we don't have such opportunity. We really recommend to plan our steps beforehand. So this is what we really recommend on embryos quality and genetics.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much. All right. So definitely some good ideas for parents to at least brainstorm with their doctors and see what is recommended and what is not. Next thing, biomaterial transport. And I know you mentioned in the previous answer that the location where you're creating embryos, is not really as important because they could be created anywhere. And then if you're using it for the surrogacy, your embryos could be transported to the location where the surrogate would be doing the embryo transfer, preparation of the endometrium, and of course, the rest of the program. So what are some things to consider for the biotransport?
Actually, we provide pre-review of all medical files for our parents. So it is not a snow on our head. So we always know what we are expecting. So we evaluate every medical file very, very deeply. So we make sure that biological material is absolutely safe for surrogate mother. We make sure that our embryo lab will accept this material. It can be embryos, can be sperm oocytes, doesn't matter. And that it is that this biological material, when we transport it, we follow restrictions of Ukrainian legislation.
Or vice
So
versa, if it's being brought to USA, that it's all falls under the rules of FDA regulations. Okay.
absolutely, yes. But we still will use this biological material on the territory of Ukraine, for example. Then we must stick with requirements of this country. And it doesn't matter, even if another country, some tests could be, let's say, forgotten, some infection disease could be not valid. For example, it just happens, again, we don't have a time machine. We cannot change, 2 years ago, we cannot pass hepatitis B. But we understand that right now, without hepatitis B negative, we cannot transfer this embryo to the surrogate. So parents should go and pass right now this hepatitis B. And if they are negative, okay, we are ready to go. So we are really flexible, but we are also strict in our legislation because we really need to make sure that surrogacy programs, they are legal, clear, and smooth. So only after that we can accept embryos or sperm or oocytes so we can use it further.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, okay. So, when creating then biomaterial, making sure, when creating embryos, so you would need to decide, are you doing it for your own use, or are you potentially will be using it for the surrogate? If there is a surrogate, there will, for the use of surrogacy program, there will be additional testing, especially on a panel of the infectious disease testing that you would needed to pass. Yes. If for any reason your embryos have been created and this testing was not completed, right? Because originally
Yes.
you were using it for yourself, yes, then retrospectively that testing and the screening can be done as well, and that could be advised.
But I would also pay attention that even if we are going to use these embryos for parents, we still need to have infection disease to accept
Right, but if it's
biological material, even if they are going to transfer these embryos to themselves, we still cannot accept without infection disease because we need
absolutely
to know where to put this biological material. So there is a specific space for parents who have infection disease. And
right.
it is also, when we have such couples, it is also a kind of treatment for them using IVF. So
Mhm.
not to give this infection to the kid, but we still need to, we must follow restrictions of Ukrainian legislation.
Mhm.
So we must have it in all cases,
Right.
regardless it is surrogacy or not.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. And then another thing, of course, if you're thinking of transporting internationally, we're using always hand carry couriers, very, companies that specialize. So we don't do transport ourselves. We use third parties that high professionals and expert in that area. And within United States, there is quite a few very reputable companies as well, including like company like Cryoport, and there are other means. So we definitely could be working and coordinating and helping you transport from one location to another. Preparation of endometrium. A lot of times families are asking,
My favorite.
yes, yes, yes. Well, actually, instead of me saying what questions are usually parents are asking within that, what are some like biggest questions you being asked, a lot of times about preparation of endometrium?
The most popular questions, why it is so long, why it is so fast, why it is so different, what does it mean, why do you use it? My doctor from US doesn't know this medicine. So it's really very interesting questions, and I'm happy to share answers because it is really we are really honored, to work with our parents and to support them. And we understand that going into surrogacy, it is not something first step you have in your mind. So you usually, when you go to surrogacy, usually you have big experience, behind your back,
Unfortunately, yeah.
and you are really almost a medic, almost a doctor. Because having this experience, it is not something easy. Yes. So parents worry and they can be stressed, they can be nervous. So that's why they ask. And we are really happy when they ask. So how to answer about these questions, why it is so fast or so long? It is really very subjective questions because it means that parents are, they are comparing this to their own experience in their country. So, of course, in different countries, we can have different types and schemas of stimulation, preparing of endometrium, how to, again, provide screening for surrogate. So we are in different, medical protocols. Of course, we have something basis like, general for all world, but we still have difference in Ukraine, in US, in India, in Spain, in France. We still can have difference.
Mhm.
And when we answer these questions, we just rely on our medical team. So we understand when parents trust us, they are providing surrogacy program on the basis of ADONIS, and ADONIS is the one who is responsible for every slightest decision that is done during the program. So that is why we have one attending physician, one responsible doctor, and this doctor is the one who signed agreement. And this doctor is Ukrainian doctor, if we are talking about surrogacy in Ukraine, yeah? So we just share why it is like this. So we just share that this schema is used for. Of course, Ukrainian doctors, they might not understand why they need to explain to parent why they are professional. So we try to be very tender and very, patient with our doctors also, because we understand that parents trust us, but they might ask something that looks different from what they knew before. So that is why it is my favorite chapter of our story. Usually preparing of endometrium doesn't take a lot of time. So it takes from 3 to 6, 8 weeks. But again, the difference is quite big, yes, from 3 weeks and 8. So parents might ask, why was this surrogate? Let's imagine Ilona, I had 3 weeks or even 2, for example, and with this surrogate, we have 6. Is she sick? No, she's not sick, but she has another hormones. She has another structure of her endometrium, and it is not our rule to go by rules. Our rule to go by rules. It sounds
Okay,
funny, but it
I
is.
think what you're trying to say is that there is no solution that fits every single surrogate. That a custom preparation, like you said, there is a foundation, right? That yes, there needs to be estrogen, progesterone, whatever. But then the length and the customization of the preparation really depends on the needs, individual needs of each surrogate, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, of course, we are moving by international protocols of preparing. So, as you just mentioned, progesterone, estrogen, and so on, we of course give such medicines. But for example, if we have opportunity to maximize chances after years or dozens of years of infertility, 3 weeks difference, it is not a reason,
Right.
to minimize or to speed up the process. We are not here to run. We are not on the race. We are here for results. So we provide specific injection differently. So we block own hormones, and then we create these hormones thanks to medicine. So we, like 90%, we never go in natural cycle with own, own hormones. We block these waves, and then we create what we need. And this is the golden rule, that it is really important, the experience of a doctor. So doctor knows what he or she is doing, and we rely on these decisions that is done by the doctor. So neither me nor parents cannot say doctor what to do, because he is or she is the one who is responsible. So so this is how it works.
But definitely, no, thank you so much. That completely makes sense. What I think we're always welcoming, and I think, that's valuable, for you guys, no matter what clinic you select, that at least ask questions. Yes, so, dear doctor or dear team, what are some of the expectations, what the process would look like, what are the phases of preparation to endometrium? And then if you have any questions, do ask them, right? So we always say it's best, like sometimes parents say, oh, I have my question might be stupid or silly. No, there is no stupid or silly questions. Every question is very important. And instead of you going and trying to be a doctor yourself and Googling, right? Going to Dr. Google and saying what it needs to be, and then being completely confused or being worried, let's have a discussions with the medical team so you really fully understand what has been assigned to your surrogate and why. Okay. And of course, another thing you didn't mention, but I know questions come up a lot. making sure that you triple checking with your, with your team and, with the doctors, what is the process of then approving surrogate into start of the stimulation, right? For example, we, even though surrogate was pre-screened, right, Ivana, we always have a step in the cycle when the endometrium, when stimulation will be happening, right? Like, what is that step? And I think it's very important that there is.
So yeah, so as we mentioned in the beginning on our conversation, that we never offer a candidate who didn't pass all tests, list of our testing, and was approved by 3 specialists, head, like fertility doctor, head of fertility department, and general practitioner therapist. In US it is general
Family
practitioner.
doctor, yeah.
Yes, family doctor, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when she is matched with family and we have approval, she need to come to clinic again to recheck her endometrium again. So her all tests are valid. So she's healthy, she's ready to start, but she still will come to our clinic again. So it is like 3rd cycle. And she usually comes on 7th till 12th day of a cycle. We have another evaluation. So by this, we triple confirm that her hormones are stable, her endometrium doesn't change, not in a way that we don't like, in different periods of her cycle. And after that, she is scheduled to start endometrium preparing. Usually it is with different injection on 19-24 days of a cycle. So it will be the 4th ultrasound. So
Wow.
surrogate, it is a person that comes to our clinic really often, and we make sure that her hormonal, emotional, mental health is stable, and she understands where she is going, and also her pelvic organs, her body is really stable and good to go. And only after that, again, on 19-24 days of a cycle, she will have again pelvic ultrasound, and it is also different comparing to US. And then she is injected with different. So pelvic ultrasound by attending physician, by fertility doctor or head of fertility department is done every time personally. It is not done by a nurse or assistant or technical supporter comparing to US. It is done by fertility doctor every time.
I see. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So on the pregnancy duration, so yay,
Maria, Maria, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just
yeah.
want to add about embryo transfer.
Oh yes, do it.
Just
Yep,
one
yep.
more note. Yes. So about embryo transfer, why I also specify it in our list, because it is also very important, and we need to pay attention again on the quality, as we mentioned before, of embryo. And embryo transfer is also very tender period, very tender stage, because parents sometimes can want to have the embryo that is not recommended from medical perspective. So for example, we have 3 boys, 2 girls, for example, and parents ask to transfer girl, but this girl quality, and girl we know because we have done genetic testing, so that is why we know. And the quality of embryo girl is much lower than boy, for example. So we do not recommend to start with lower quality embryos. So we recommend to start from the best quality embryo in order to have success from the first attempt. And we are not talking about gender selection. It is not about sex selection, sorry. It is about medical perspective, what is the best. So when we are on a stage of embryo transfer planning, dedicated coordinator send a specific and detailed email after evaluation from the head of embryo team and fertility specialist together. And the dedicated coordinator write a detailed email which embryo is recommended on the first priority, second priority, and etc.
From the
And
medical perspective.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we never make decision. So decision maker is parents.
Yep.
They are decision makers. But our task is to give parents the biggest information and the best chances. So that is why we send detailed information, what is recommended and which embryo is not recommended or last turn. And only if they understand that it is reducing of their chances, we can transfer lower quality embryo.
I see.
Because again, we are not interested, to play this game over and over. So we really want to give success to our parents. We want them to go further to next chapter, to pregnancy observation, yes, and not only to transfer and go again. So we are really interested to have success from a first try. And when we are on this stage, embryo transport is really important, having genetic result, having quality, and all this information is evaluated by our medical team when we know the date of transfer. It is usually a week before or even 2.
That's when the decisions are being made. Okay, makes sense. All right. So I guess, to summarize, what you're saying is that always you're going to get recommendation from the medical perspective. As a parent, of course, you could override that decision and choose a different embryo, but you will also understand the impact of your decision. Okay.
Yes.
So embryo transfer was completed. We're waiting for the confirmation of pregnancy through the blood test, HCG, and then through confirmation of pregnancy through the ultrasound. There is a heartbeat detected. Yay, the long awaited news is here. This is phenomenal. So then we're moving into the pregnancy observation. And so again, without specifically talking about difference between different countries, but I think there is still universal thing no matter where you do it, right? What are some things that you would say parents need to understand about pregnancy observation? What should be, in your opinion, some of the best practices included, maybe what type of testing or what kind of questions, once again, parents could be asking for?
So we really can have separate webinar about prenatal care, about pregnancy observation, because it is 10 months of a lot of emails, a lot of days and months of support. So let me just remind about our milestones in prenatal care. So first we have 2 genetic screening during prenatal care. It is first trimester 11-13 weeks and second trimester 16-18 weeks. So we have genetic screening to look if there is no genetic mutation of a fetus. When we have embryo previously tested, we usually just do this step because it is in the list. Just let's do and let's go on. But if we have no previously genetic information, it is a time when we all are stressed because we never know what is inside. Embryo can look perfect, as we just mentioned in the beginning, but it doesn't mean that embryo is healthy inside. So this is really stressful period for parents. It is big milestone, first trimester screening and second, really big milestones. If something is detected, we have few variants. Usually we have geneticist consultation, and doctor is really cool professional. She evaluates medical files of parents and donor, if it was donor material, evaluate data of fetus, and then she give us conclusion what is recommended. Usually we might have NIPT. It is not invasive examination, genetic screening, or it can be invasive. It can be amniocentesis. We all pray and hope that no recommendation for invasive will be given, but if it is needed, we will go through this. And now I want to share what is really important during prenatal care. So it is really important. And for me, the golden rule over like after many years of experience, it is first rule and golden rule, do not panic.
Okay, that's a good one.
Second rule,
What to do?
do not go to Google Doctor.
Yeah, okay. No panic. I'm writing it down. Not
No
Google
panic,
Doc.
do not go to Google Doctor.
Okay.
Because yeah, because we know what Google Doctor says. It can be a lot of, and all of this can have no connection to your particular
And could
case.
look very scary. Like, you would walk out from that and then thinking,
Of
gosh, like,
course,
oh,
or
maybe.
might look not scary, and you never know. So
Yep.
you can catch luck, you know, you just and you never know. And usually parents send us emails like this. They're really stressful. We read this, we read between the lines that they are like screaming, crying, panicking, but it can be just very, very, very slightest parameter, not in normal ranges. But what does it mean, normal ranges? So another rule, a third rule, it is to remember that we are not talking about mathematics. It is not two pens. It is a like human inside. So normal ranges, yes, they exist, but there is it's so hard to explain by words. But for example, we can be very different when we are born, So if your baby is not so big with weight, it doesn't mean that baby is sick or surrogate doesn't eat.
Mm-hmm.
Or when baby is not so long, it doesn't mean that a surrogate doesn't eat or baby is sick.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we tell what is normal? Normal ranges, maybe Maria, you will help me to transfer it into
Right.
inches. So my
How would
height,
you
for
know?
example, is like 1.75 m. Some person can be 1.55 m.
Yeah.
So who is sick, me or that lady?
No one. No one is.
We are
No
just
one.
different, So I could be in the belly of my mom another height, and she could be longer or vice versa, but it doesn't mean that someone is sick. And when you are panicking, when you go to Google Doctor, you can have negative spirit, negative emotions, stress, tears that is not needed at all. So what your baby needs from you to believe in this baby, and you
Mm,
are not alone. You are like I mean parents, they are not alone. They are with really cool medical team. We have attending physician, prenatal care specialist. We have geneticist. We have prenatal specialists who are also geneticists, so who provide ultrasound, and also they are geneticists in addition.
mm,
Yes.
mm,
So we have just prenatal ultrasounds. So like they are all different, in their experience, in their vision. And it is not that only me or you or parents' decision. It is really hard to make mistake or to lose something. It is almost like impossible to have blind moments. There
mhm,
could not be gray area. So
mhm,
even if something is not understandable, even if something is not clear enough for making any decision, it doesn't mean this is the finish.
mhm,
So that is why we should not panic. According to Ukrainian legislation, we have opportunity to, let's say, in the worst case scenario, we have opportunity to interrupt the pregnancy until 21 week of pregnancy under medical indication. So usually it can be some changes, but it doesn't mean that really bad something really bad happens. So when we have bad cases, usually we know that we are going to have these cases. So embryo could be mosaic, for example, or so it is another situation. So really important not to panic and rely on medical professionals, and just ask questions. We never leave our parents alone.
mhm,
So we always send big detailed emails. We initiate meetings with geneticists, with our prenatal care specialists. We plan our logistics and our medical steps beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Surrogate pass her test really often. So every 2-3 weeks, she passed tests.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once everything is completed, everything is clear, we understand our steps, we have next milestone. It is 21 weeks of pregnancy, where we can provide ultrasound of fetus with such a detailed ultrasound data that all questions are cleared out.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there were, even if we had some questions before, for example, kidney or bladder or heart, on 21 week of pregnancy, we absolutely know what to do. So we know, are you going to have healthy child? And this is like 99.99999%. This is how it is ended. But of course, we are talking about humans. We are talking not about mathematics. Yes. So every baby is a separate baby. It is not about statistics. It is about real person developing inside. Yes. But even if something, so if everything is good, we just move on and just, whew, we breathe. But
Mm-hmm.
if something is still confirmed that it is not good, we beforehand already have plan A absolutely, set up, and
Mm-hmm.
plan B and plan C.
Mm-hmm.
We always have. So parents are not alone. So this is what is really important to pay attention, that parents are not alone. Do not panic. Do not go to Google Doctor and rely on doctors. And of course, as every milestone, questions, there are no silly questions, yes? And we sometimes, we even, not sometimes, it is actually popular that parents say, oh gosh, you always send such a big detailed emails, we never got it. So even with our parents that have surrogacy in US in the same time, or have an experience in surrogacy another country, so they say, oh my god, I never got such a detailed conclusions from US.
Yeah,
What
that's
do you
very
do?
good.
Do you ever sleep? Because we really understand that being overseas harder.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to complete this, not gap, but mm, nervous, and we,
Okay, because you're far away.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. We really always give parents maximum what we just can. So they feel they are here, and
Yeah.
they feel they are not alone. So they know a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes they feel it's too much. What does it mean? But we still give this information because we feel, with open heart, we really feel them. We want them to feel that they are here.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So, again, like as a short summary, so uh, no matter where you're doing it, so when you get to pregnancy observation ahead of time, understand what are the key milestones are. Yes, then Ivana, you put a big emphasis on genetics. So also then check what are genetic screenings are built into your program. And if there is anything, any deviations, then what are the follow-up steps? You mentioned that we have consultations with the genetic counselor. There could be assigned additional screenings to understand if the data is repeating, such as NIPT test and APT or amniocentesis. And then also understand, per state or per country, what are the timeframes from the legal perspective when you could be making decisions if there needs to be interruption of pregnancy. And again, we're praying that you never come to this point, but going into any surrogacy journey, you really need to understand how the process look like. So thank you so much for highlighting that for us.
And actually, not only surrogacy, but any obstetrician,
Absolutely,
sphere. So it is
absolutely.
pregnancy. So once we are pregnant, it doesn't matter if our pregnancy was achieved natural or not.
Right.
It it doesn't matter. So obstetrician protocols and statistics of complications. So we will move on to next about what to expect during baby birth.
Yeah,
But once we are pregnant, it never depends how it happened. So
right.
natural or not. So the only one difference is that for IVF pregnancy, we need to give hormones to support pregnancy, because surrogate has no own hormones, because we block it, because she never can have own kid. And this is why we are doing this, to have success. So we need to support this pregnancy. Without medicines, she will just have miscarriage. Yes.
Got it.
So we really need to support until really mature terms. It is like almost 34 weeks of pregnancy. So progesterone, it is the biggest, the most important hormone we give. But when we go to any pregnancy, own pregnancy, or surrogate pregnancy, we still have same milestones. So prenatal screenings, then 21 detailed ultrasound that answers all questions. And then we just need to, cross 28 weeks of pregnancy. And then we are very busy because we are planning our exit, we are planning our birth.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And so we only have like about 8 minutes left in the conversation. So but we do have quite a few questions. So let me actually do this. We're gonna list the topics that you're saying are very important to pay attention, but we maybe will answer only one, and I'll let you to decide which one you want to pick as a closing one. What do you want to talk about? So you were talking about that, yes, part of the surrogacy program, you always need to ask questions and have understanding about what, how would be looking the preparation for the baby delivery and what to expect during the baby birth, and, what is your role, how surrogate will be handled, how the baby, care will be handled. Then also organizing care for the newborn. This is more like already planning, okay, once baby is born, what are some tests you need to do, if there's any vaccinations, who's the pediatricians, who's going to be making decisions, what clothes to choose, what formula to choose. So is it consideration? I know even for the surrogacy journey, sometimes intended parents, they do their own lactation. So the consideration for that, make sure you discuss with your doctor. And of course, all of these legal documents, if there is any steps that needs to be done for the parental rights establishment. And if you're doing internationally, of course, for the citizenship of your baby, which if you're doing in Ukraine, citizenship of the baby of US citizens, that's going to be, your baby will get US citizenship. And we could have a separate topic about that. And one more thing that really struck me, it's not on your list, but you kind of were coming to it over and over. I think another big item, we're going to call it item number 10, is communication. So before starting your surrogacy journey, you need to understand what are the expectations for communication from the team you're working with. What is your expectations from your perspective? What would be helpful to you? Ivanna was saying that we over communicate, we send many emails, there is many meetings, calls and things like that. But do outline and understand those things ahead of time. So now, out of those 5 topics that we just listed, Ivana, which one you want to close with? And you have 6 minutes.
I think that we really need to pay attention on communication.
Okay.
Because we can continue for next webinar, we can continue with preparation for baby delivery, because in our imagined world, we, like Maria, you and me, we have already crossed all pregnancy milestones already. So maybe communication really, because why it is so important. Starting from introducing email. Hey, welcome to ADONIS family. This is Ivanna, this is Oksana, this is Maria, this is coordinator, and a lot of members, great person, amazing professionals. What we need from our parents, it is communication in a proper way. So we really need to have very fast reaction. We really need to have responses and answers to our questions. Usually it works like this, that parents are so much super happy, so much excited that they are just celebrating their surrogacy, celebrating their pregnancy, heartbeat confirmation, or celebrating going to Ukraine, that they just forget to respond to us or just tell what, ask questions. So they know that everything. On the beginning, parents might feel it's not about not trusting, they trust, but they asking a lot of questions. Hey, this, and what about this and this? And then they understand that, ooh, we really can trust them. Oh gosh, they're really cool, you know? So then we have another side of a coin. They just relax. They know that everything in on our shoulders, and they just, кайфуют. They
They're
just enjoy.
sitting back. Well, they're enjoying the journey and they're kind of, sitting back. Yes, yes.
Yeah, sitting back and looking like this. Oh, great email, mwah, 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 so, and they just enjoy their period of pregnancy. And it doesn't mean that we don't need them. So communication is very important, not only for us, to send this information to parents. We will do it in any case. We need communication back from our parents saying, we are here, like we are happy, all is good. If they ask questions, it is really good connection because we understand that they have these questions. When they have no questions, they might not even respond to us.
Mhm.
And it is absolutely okay. We understand that if there is no questions, no news, it is a good news. It
Yep.
is a good news. Yes. Uh, and communication is really important when we need fast response and fast reaction. It is funny cases when we have surrogate selected, and next step it is to approve surrogate agreement, surrogacy agreement. And it is funny because every time our head attorney Oksana, she's like finding clients in everywhere, like what's up, you know calling, hey Maria, we need their approval. So they are just happy to start and they just let it go. So that is why I think that communication is really important. It is connection between us and parents. We really feel like a big family, and it doesn't matter that we are overseas. I do believe that there is no distance, there is no time, and there is no space problems for love and support,
Mhm.
even having big time difference. uh, when we have this communication, we feel like very, very connected and friendship family. We have friendship, we have support, we have respectful communication, of course. um, but this journey is really important, and we never know if parents come back for sibling. We always dream about this because we
We
know
have
how
many that
hard
do
it is.
come back, this
And
is so
they, like,
awesome.
most of them really come back, not for sibling, but how should I say third, like
I don't know.
sibling,
Well, it's still sibling,
sibling,
yeah. Not just one, but two,
three,
but
four,
definitely.
five. Yes, yes.
Yeah, we do
Uh,
have some families like that. That's amazing.
So communication is important from the first step when we are introducing ourselves, when we need passport, when we need fast reaction for biotransport, for passport, for power of attorney, for marriage certificate, for apostle. Oh my God, it is 1 week, but we have done everything. Yeah, like when you respond to us so easy and so fast, we are moving so cool, because we cannot do this without parents.
Yep.
Let's say activization, yes,
Yep.
then processes will just move on smoothly with no active actions from parents. And
Mhm.
in this stage, we ask to say, hey, thank you, and send a heart, So, yeah.
Okay. The more hearts, the better. I got it. Okay. Parents are sending hearts.
And,
Uh,
yeah, just I see that it's just 1 minute. And the confirmation of my words is our congratulations of happy birthday for our
oh, it's always
parents
such a
who
celebration. Yep.
completed journey. Yeah. So first year they say, oh yes, thank you. On the second year they said, oh my God, like yeah, like guys, so it's such a big and such a deep connection when we see these, beautiful miracles who just grew up and they change so much.
Yeah.
And And they come back for sibling, you know, they understand that it's such a big happiness. And this is again the confirmation that communication and tight understanding of each other, it is really important. That is why asking questions, answering questions, regardless if it is hard, heartbreaking, or heartwarming information, we still need to share. So surrogacy cannot be successful not only in having baby born, but it cannot be successful mentally and emotionally if there is no tight connection between us and parents. So that is why communication really very, very value here.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for running us, Ivana, like from the 1,000-mile view on all of these important topics. We're definitely going to bring you back because, gosh, like, yeah, so many more questions have been
Yeah.
answered. Yes, but what I'm excited about, I don't know, guys, if you could feel it, you know, the passion that comes through Ivana and her team is incredible. So when people do what they do, not because it's a work for them, but it's really passion of life, I think that's when the miracle is happening. So if you know, if there
Not
is
be another way, Maria.
yeah, yeah. So if there is anything we could do for you, you know, if you're brainstorming on starting surrogacy and you just need to have sounding board and brainstorm, we're always open for that. If you're already in the process, right, we're excited that we continue supporting you. So anyway, thank you so much, guys, and we will see you next, well, week. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.